Marvel fans, buckle up. We've got some crazy X-Men news. And this news is kind of crazy, okay? It involves Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. It involves the new MCU X-Men reboot. And the news has already caused quite a stir online. So I'm going to go through it, but then I'm going to give you the context because there's something everybody's missing about this story. Something that's pretty freaking wild and something that will explain the absence of Wolverine in the new X-Men franchise. And some of you were like, an absence of Wolverine? What the hell? So here's the scoop right here. It says the Marvel Studios X-Men reboot film will reportedly not include Wolverine. And the reason for that is that Hugh Jackman will continue to play the role even after Avengers Secret Wars. Okay, so first thing we gotta talk about here is like Hugh Jackman is literally gonna play Wolverine until he's 90. Now, look, for some of you, this is shocking news. It's not shocking to me. I've actually been talking about this for over a year. In fact, before Deadpool Wolverine even came out, I had heard from very reliable people that Hugh Jackman was the new Wolverine in the MCU. I did multiple videos and multiple streams about this, and a lot of people at the time didn't believe me. And although I hate to say I told you so, just kidding, I actually love to say I told you so, and yet again, I've told you so. And you might be like, wait, what? Like, Hugh Jackman's still Wolverine? What the hell? Aren't they gonna do a new Wolverine? He's like really old and stuff. And the thing is, no, they're not. They're going to have him as Wolverine. I mean, I think eventually they will have a new Wolverine, but I think this soft rebooted MCU is probably going to be very different than a lot of us were thinking. It seems to be a universe where you will have had heroes around for some time. So like instead of getting a lot of origins, there'll just be a lot of characters already established. And it kind of seems like the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, and the Avengers will all be established and they'll all have been within the same universe. It's hard to say with Hugh Jackman whether or not he's going to be playing a much older version of Wolverine or a younger version of Wolverine. I mean, technically, Wolverine always kind of looks older, and he's really old by the time we find him in modern comics. Like, he's been around for hundreds of years. I'll probably repeat that later on in the video. But what I'm trying to say is, like, just because they're doing this with Wolverine doesn't necessarily mean they're going to do it with other characters. But I think they will. I think you might have a lot of old faces from the other X-Men franchises and even old characters from the MCU or maybe other Marvel movies as well. But for now, Wolverine will be played by Hugh Jackman for the foreseeable future. And I think he's going to do a lot of different Marvel movies as Wolverine. Let's explain what the other part of this scoop is and I'll fit it together. I will make all of this make sense because, yeah, when you first look at it, you're like, I don't understand what the hell is going on. So the X-Men reboot will not include Wolverine. What does that mean? It means Wolverine is not going to be on the team that makes up the X-Men. Now, I think that's basically to just differentiate that team. They know the X-Men is a big enough deal where it no longer needs a character like Wolverine or Hugh Jackman Wolverine to sort of bolster that movie up. You put X-Men in that movie, people are going to show up. By the way, I actually do think Hugh Jackman will be in that movie. He's just not going to permanently join that team. Now, one of the reasons I think this is because in the new X-Men reboot that literally just happened, in the first issue of that, the new X-Men team, which is led by Cyclops, they go to rescue Wolverine, who has been captured, and then they're gonna like recruit him, and he's like, no thanks, man, I'm good. And I think they'll probably do something similar to that in the MCU, partially because that entire MCU reboot was Kevin Feige and Dan Buckley's idea. They ended the Krakoa era, honestly, a little bit early because they wanted to have something similar to what they're about to do in the next 3 or 4 years with the X-Men. And the X-Men themselves are not really going to be focused on until after Secret Wars, right? We're going to go to this soft rebooted MCU. We're going to have the X-Men, Fantastic Four, and Avengers all together in the same place. And basically what the new report is suggesting is that Hugh Jackman is going to be the Wolverine of that universe, which I think is freaking awesome. Even though he is an older guy, Wolverine looks like an older guy. He's hundreds of years old in comics when we meet him in the modern day, and he looks older. Like, that's always been his thing. So I think Hugh Jackman as Wolverine could work for literally another 10, 15, 20 years with the visual effects and the stuff that we have now. But they want to do something different with the X-Men. They don't want to do what Fox did before, and Logan has been a part of the X-Men. There have also been long stretches of X-Men comics where Logan or Wolverine is not involved. However, Hugh Jackman is going to continue to play Wolverine, and they want to use him. So they're going to use him in some movies. And I think eventually he'll be a big part of what this next saga builds towards, because there are a lot of rumors that the X-Men and the mutants are going to be the focus of like the entire next saga after Secret Wars. And it might also involve the Celestials and the Eternals and some of the flavor from the Judgment Day comic book. TLDR on that was like they basically retconned the X gene, the gene that makes mutants, into a version of the deviant gene. And so therefore all the Eternals and Celestials basically realized all of the mutants are actually deviants, and that of course causes problems because the Eternals have to destroy the deviants. And the only reason that's important is because I want you to realize there's a lot of mutant and X-Men stuff coming, and it's going to be on a very big scale. It's going to be absurd. Like after Secret Wars, they're going to slowly build up mutants and X-Men, and then that's going to lead to something crazy. And when it gets crazy, Hugh Jackman Wolverine will be involved. And in fact, let me tell you this other super secret kind of crazy idea. I heard this at the same time that I heard that Hugh Jackman Wolverine was going to be the guy after Secret Wars, and at the time when I heard he was not going to be a part of the X-Men team, okay? And this is about Alpha Flight, okay? Alpha Flight is a really crazy team. It's a Canadian team. You have Wolverine involved in that team. There's a point in which he escapes. The Weapon X program goes with Alpha Flight. Alpha Flight and him go try to like mess up the Weapon X program. It's a cool team. It's a cool comic. And believe it or not, I think that's where they're going to put Wolverine, at least for some time. And you might get Alpha Flight movies or like an Alpha Flight show or just something involving Alpha Flight, which will include Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. But I think at this point, whenever you see Hugh Jackman in a movie, they're going to have to pay him a lot of money. So he's very close to like that Robert Downey Jr. level of money at this point. I think he might get a cameo in the new X-Men thing, but then they'll kind of keep him off to the side and use him eventually in some big crossover things, or maybe they want to build something up with Alpha Flight on the side. But that's generally what I think is going on. Now, this whole situation here actually does bring up a lot of questions, right? Are they going to recast other Fox X-Men? And I think at this point, it seems like they will. It seems like the direction Marvel Studios is going in is that the soft rebooted MCU will just be a Marvel universe. And I think they're going to grab up a lot of older people, because if Hugh Jackman is Wolverine, I mean, it leaves the door open for a lot of those old legacy actors to come back and play that role in the soft rebooted MCU. This to me is starting to feel like part of the fun of the reboot. We're gonna have a ton of fun in the next couple of years with the multiverse saga and then Secret Wars and Doctor Doom and crazy stuff like that. But then we're going to begin to ask questions and speculate about the soft rebooted MCU. And I think that includes things like this with the X-Men. What's up with Robert Downey Jr.? Is he coming back in some way? Is he going to be Doctor Doom or Iron Man in the new universe? Does Chris Evans return? Are we going to have Hemsworth playing Thor for the next 10 to 15 years? What does this soft rebooted MCU actually look like? I'm getting excited for the prospect. And I do expect that X-Men movie to be awesome as hell. Like, I think they're going to do Gambit, Cyclops. They might do Kitty Pryde. We've heard Storm is going to be a part of it. Jean, right? A lot of the people you would expect, just maybe not Hugh Jackman Wolverine, which to me is, again, totally fine. Maybe they'll cameo him in the movie. Maybe not. Either way, the X-Men are dope, dude. So I'm excited to see the X-Men, and I'm excited to see more Hugh Jackman Wolverine. Maybe they just do Deadpool stuff with Hugh Jackman Wolverine. I don't know, but dude, they're gonna do more with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. Anyway, that's the report and sort of my explanation of what I think's going on. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. And as I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.